All right, welcome to Seller Sessions podcast. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, but I'm super excited for rolling back into it. I've got Max Sigurdson Scott, who, along with being a fellow Canadian, there's a handful of us, man, but good to have a fellow Canadian in the space. But I came across Max. Honestly, most of the really interesting, valuable content I've seen the last 18 months or so actually comes from LinkedIn. So I came across Max's stuff on LinkedIn and he did something really special, which is he did a hack a day for the last 365 days. And I know hack's kind of a wonky term, but it's really just incremental gains. I think this is a business of incremental gains and all those little things that you can put together. So it was a tireless effort, certainly appreciate it. And I got a ton of value in our brands and businesses and my knowledge through his year of sharing this stuff. But what we decided to do today is bring Max on. And I said, hey, man, like you did 365 of these, amazing discipline, amazing work. Let's what can you chat about in half an hour? So like find the best of. So he's kind of gone through and sifted through that monster list, compiled them. We're going to jump into those today. But in addition to being a fellow Canadian, Max was actually a teacher for 10 years. He started making more money on Amazon than teaching. He's like, hey, maybe I'll just go to Amazon full time. So he's been selling on Amazon for 10 years. He's got an amazing newsletter, Selling from the Beach, which we'll leave a link for down below, and we'll chat a little bit about at the end. But aside from that, he knows his stuff. Great human being, shares stuff for free, my kind of people. So Max, welcome on to Seller Sessions, man. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Adam. I'm very happy to be here. I don't do a lot of these, so it's kind of a unique experience for me for sure.
That's awesome, man. All right, dude. So first of all, I'm like, what was the impetus for the 365 days? Because that's a gauntlet. Like, for anybody, I akin it to working out every day for 365 days. Like, people that do it for 7 days, maybe a month. But when you kind of get into that, month 8, 9, it's like, man, I don't think I have 365 things I could share on a consecutive basis for a year, but you find a way to do it. What was the impetus for it? And what was that process like in general, kind of chipping away at that for a year?
Yeah, for sure. It's really at the end of the day, it's just about like helping as many people as I can. For me, it was like I had so many cool things that we were doing, and I was learning, and it was like I was in a couple of masterminds with 4 to 10 people. But at the end of the day, so many people didn't know about stuff, and it just like it's very irritating when I look over an account and they're doing something that I know, that I couldn't share with them because I didn't have a platform for it. So, that was the start of it, was like, I need to help more people. And, I figured LinkedIn was the way to do it. I kind of did a little bit of planning before the year started. And I was like, I'm going to, write a few of these down. So I don't have to wing it every single day. And I ran out at about 150. Uh, at about day 150, that was it. So after that, I had to do it week to week, which is kind of good in a way because, like, things change on Amazon so fast. Where it's like, the stuff that I said at the beginning of the year is some of it got stale, and it's like that doesn't even exist anymore. So it's kind of glad that I didn't plan the whole year out. But yeah, it was able to just keep going, and it took about one full day every week. I would just plan out the week, and then here we are, just one day at a time, man. Incremental gains, like you said, those 1%, atomic habits.
Yeah, love it, man. Well, again, tons of value. And we talked about this offline, but similar journey to me. I kind of decided to do a video a week on YouTube when I first got started. Didn't really have an intention to make money. It was just kind of like I got a ton of value from free stuff on the internet to kind of build and grow my Amazon business and had some things to say. So, have a lot of appreciation and affection for people like you that decided to say, hey, I'm just going to put this out in the world and hopefully it helps some people. But it makes you better too. Like I found, I'm sure you have too, where, like it's like when you have to think about what you're going to share and say, it makes you think about your own business. It makes you seek out ways to optimize your own thing. So it's mutually beneficial as a personal journey, but it's obviously hugely beneficial for the community. So with that, man, let's dive into this. We've got 14 of the best of all 365. So we'll let you get cracking, and I'll interject with questions or things to nudge it along as we go. But I'll pass it over to you, man.
So these are my favorite hacks. Now everybody's got different favorite hacks, but these are just the ones that I like that I found sort of the most impactful. So I'm not a PowerPoint expert or anything. So these aren't going to be pretty, but the hack content hopefully helps you. Okay, so I'll just start off at number 1. So this one is about reviews. So when you go from 4.2 to 4.3, the filled in stars on your listing change from 4 filled in stars to 4.5 filled in stars. And what we found is that your ACOS really increases and your PPC revenue and conversion rate really decreases when you lose that half star. So the idea with this hack is just watch out for listings that are in that 4.3, 4.4 range, and take steps to make sure that you don't drop to that 4.2 because you're just going to get killed when you go down. So there's a bunch of things you can do, like you can use review removal companies. Everybody's heard about TraceViews probably. I know they do 2 reviews for free. They're $250 each, but it might make a difference for you, getting that 1 review removed so you can get back up to that 4.3. We like Review Puncher as well on Sellerize, which basically it messages the buyer instantly when they leave a negative review, and that kind of helps. But yeah, basically I wrote here, compensate, beg, borrow, and steal, do everything you can to get those reviews back up over that 4.3 mark, or else, like I said, your PPC revenue and conversion rate, and just everything PPC wise is going to be a lot worse, and you're going to convert a lot worse, and your CTR is going to drop. So watch out for that. Number 2 is Chinese sellers are killing us. I just posted this one a couple weeks ago, but my wife bought a vacuum sealer on Amazon, and I was like floored with the amount of inserts and things that this product had. It was completely crazy. So the first thing was this like handwritten note on this nice yellow cardstock. Now I have dived into handwritten notes pretty seriously, and I know this was written with a handwriting robot 100%. And we've kind of done it in our packages too, but this one was very long, and I was just like, this is impressive. And for some, a regular customer who's not an Amazon seller, I think they're going to be impressed by this. They had replans, so like consumables, like subscribe and save stuff, within the product. So it's a vacuum sealer, so it needs bags, right? So you can buy their replan, and so here they're telling you to buy more of them. There was like multiple instances where they told me to buy more of their bags. Here they told me not to return the product to Amazon or like leave any negative reviews, which is of course against terms of service, but you know how some of these companies are, they don't care. This was probably a way that they're getting ahead of everybody else. They had color instructions with pictures. They had endless QR codes with call to actions. They had Facebook live chat and a quick operation guide. It was just like really impressive and made me feel a little bit inadequate, but also like inspired me to just be better, I think. And I think this is a big reason why so many, Chinese sellers are just killing the Americans and the Canadian sellers, is because they really like try to win that customer, for lifetime.
Yeah, man, I think it's interesting, like, it's not rocket science, and it's stuff that logically makes sense, but it's stuff that most of us just don't go to that extra tier to do, because it's like, okay, you gotta get a designer going to Canva, you got to build out a funnel, you gotta think about what you wanna say, you gotta find somebody that can do the robot machine, you can set all those things are not rocket science. You could probably knock all this stuff out in a week. But it's those little things that, going back to hack number 1, maybe take it from 4.2 to 4.3 because the instructions are better and it's just a better user experience and you've got a better emotional kind of residue based on the handwritten note. So yeah, man, that's super cool. And I think the more of those things that you can see if you do shop on Amazon as a seller, your family does, and like I just have like a folder of them and just keep them in. It's good inspiration. Again, lots of them maybe cross the line that you may not be comfortable crossing, but it's good to compile that stuff. And again, if you wanted to chip away at the stuff, you could probably in your next production run with a couple days of work on a weekend have it ready to go. So the handwritten note one's super cool. Like I said, I think most people in call it the marketing space. I remember seeing them with like basically junk mail back in the day. They'd kind of have handwritten stuff. You can tell if you know, but most average consumers probably don't. And it does have that kind of emotional appeal. So I think that's great stuff.
Yeah, I was able to buy a handwriting robot. My supplier was able to get me one, and it was $500, and we were able to add handwritten notes to our packaging. Like, it's a lot shorter than that. But it's like something like 5 cents a unit. So, you
Yeah.
know what? If the customer sees a handwritten note and they leave you a great review because they're like, "Wow, this guy took the time to write this,"
Yeah.
it's pretty good for your
Yeah.
reviews and just your listing in general.
Yeah. Super cool.
Okay, So this one is secondary. So I'm going to jump around a bit. This one's secondary image font rules. So getting a little bit in the weeds here. These are from the GS1 guidelines. And this is mainly for mobile images in general. So like if you're looking at an Amazon listing on your phone. So there's a few things. One, we want to limit text overlays to 5 words or less. So if you've seen a secondary image before, I'm sure you've seen that there's more than 5 words. But these are their guidelines. And then the key call out should be 40 point and the secondary should be 30 points. So quite big. The other thing they say is to avoid serif fonts. So you might remember this from school, but like serif and sans serif fonts. So serif fonts are the ones with the little things on the ends of the letters, and it makes it seem more luxury. So in general, we want to avoid those types of fonts just because they're a little bit harder to read, and they're less bold and clear, especially for mobile buyers. So we like the basic ones like Arial, Helvetica, and Open Sans. We don't place text over busy backgrounds. We don't have more than 2 lines of text on any secondary image. These are, of course, just guidelines, and it's not like, you're going to jail if you do any of them, but these help. We maintain high contrast colors that don't blend in, and I'll explain this kind of later, but the older you get, the less your eyes are able to see contrasting colors. So like orange text on a peach background, for example, is really hard for older buyers to see. And then we only place text in the top third of the image. So I'm just going to show you some examples here. These are from like major brands, but you can see here like the text is kind of on the top third of the page. They don't have more than 2 lines of text. They're not using a serif font. Everything is pretty clear. They've got sort of one main idea per image. Just going to kind of scroll through these fairly quick. Here's one from Tide. Very clear, very simple, and makes sense, what the person's getting or what the image is trying to achieve. Again, a lot of the text you can see is in the top third of the image. This one it's not, but it's quite clear, not very many words. Again, pay special attention to the fonts. I'll just keep going through these. Here's one from Zesty Paws, and then this one has a bit of small text, but yeah. And then we got Instant Pot. But yeah, you can clearly see that these images are just trying to do one thing. And they're quite simple and easy. And so when you have images like that, the GS1 guidelines say that they'll convert better and it'll increase your conversion rate. So yeah, that's that one. Moving on here to Amazon category pricing dead zones. So we're jumping into price here. There are 2 types of fees on Amazon. Well, there's 1,000 types of fees on Amazon, but there's 2 major types of fees. One is pick and pack fees, and the other one is FBA fees, FBA referral fees. And so referral fees change based on the price of your product. So the example I always use is in grocery. This is on Amazon.com in this example. But at $14.99, your referral fee is 8%. So a $14.99 product, you're going to be paying $1.19 to Amazon. But if we increase that price to $15, then your referral fee doubles, almost doubles to $2.25 because the referral fee percentage changes from 8 to 15%. So they have these sort of price breaks in different categories. You can see grocery, baby.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I mean, that sounds rudimentary, but I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So like you can go on and you can look at I always look at grocery items like cookies or something, and there'll be people that are priced at like $15.50. And what happens is because the price of the referral fee is so much more when you go above 15, you're actually making less money by selling it for more.
And you're
So
converting less and
yeah,
it's more
totally.
expensive, all the things yeah. Yeah.
So I built this thing. They just call it a dead zone. I mean, that's not an official term. I just made it up. But
Yeah.
basically, it's just saying you don't price any of your products in this range if you're in
Got
this
it.
category.
Got it.
And then the bottom one is any item. So they removed the small and light program, I don't know, 6 months ago. Now they have the low price FBA tier basically. But basically you should not see any item on Amazon in the $10 to $12 range. Just because of these dead zones, you get a big break at $9.99. So yeah, if you're in any of these categories, take a look at your prices and make sure you're not in this range, or else you're charging your customers more, you're converting less, and you're making less.
Super good one.
Okay, moving on to the storefront. A lot of people don't talk about the storefront that often, and it's kind of one of those things that I think people forget or overlook. It is a place where you can still make a good amount of money, and it's kind of like your own branded website on Amazon. But the thing I've found, and what a lot of people say is like, is your storefront doing good or not? And you don't really know. Now, there is an information page where it'll show you like, new customers, and it'll show you total sales. And I see a lot of people talking about total sales, like, hey, my total sales on my storefront are up. Must be doing good. And I feel like that's not a great metric because I can just run ads to my storefront and increase my total sales. It doesn't mean that I'm profitable. Um, like I could just run a ton of sponsored brand ads and increase my sales, and then it looks great, but maybe it's not. Maybe the ads aren't profitable. So there are two things that I look at on the storefront, and they're right in the info. It's bounce rate and dwell time. So bounce rate is the amount of people who come to your storefront, don't interact, and then they bounce, so they leave. Dwell time is the amount of time that someone spends on your storefront. So generally speaking, the longer someone spends time on a website, the more likely they are to convert, because why would they stay otherwise? So this is kind of like how you A/B test your storefront. Is you make changes, you add in all the new modules. They've got like movable GIFs now, and shoppable images, all kinds of cool stuff that you can use. And basically, you improve your storefront, and then you check it next month. How's my bounce rate? How's my dwell time? And that provides, uh, I think, a better sort of percentage-based metric where it doesn't matter how much ads you run to it. These won't be affected by that. So yeah, basically, if your storefront's good, you've got a short bounce or small bounce rate and a long dwell time. This was like my favorite change in 2024, and not everybody has access to this. I do on my account, thankfully, but I like to call them super reps. So if you have this blue box in your help section, it's like Amazon reps with huge biceps. They're they're unbelievable. If you can imagine, and well, we don't even have to imagine, but remember how bad regular reps are? This is the polar opposite. And it feels weird to be saying that Amazon's doing a good job, but these are amazing. They're stateside reps. They work normal hours, like I think it's like 9 to 9 or something like that, and they'll get on a chat or on the phone with you, and they can fix anything, absolutely anything. Like they'll even make variations for you. It is out of control. So if you have this button, I don't know how to get it. I went to Amazon Accelerate, and when I came back, it was there. So maybe go to the conference this year. But yeah, if you can get this, you're laughing.
And just so it says here, like listing issues, and I haven't even logged into the support thing in a long time. My team does a lot of that stuff, so I got to go see if we even have it. Which I think everybody's going to do after seeing this clip of the video. But it says listing issues ? Connect to an agent. Could you also ping them for non-listing issues, or like cloak it as a listing issue, and then they can kind of chip away at other topics as well?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
cool.
it's going to make you pick a category that's a listing issue. But if you have an issue that's not a listing issue, you can just pick something at random, and then they'll happily help you. The other thing is, I don't have this button on my Amazon.ca side of my account. But if I tell them when I'm in, I'm like, hey, I have an issue with my Amazon Canada account, or even my Amazon Europe account, they can see it and they'll go after it,
Nice.
which is awesome. Back when
Yeah,
I
that's huge.
first got this button, they would even help me with accounts that I was managing, which was insane.
Amazing. Yeah,
I would just
nice.
give them the merchant ID, and then they would go after it, but they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I guess
So
they have
side
too many
note,
people doing
don't
that.
don't message Max after seeing this video asking him to submit tickets on your behalf.
No, it doesn't work anymore. Okay, on to a little PPC tip here. This one really got a lot of feedback. Dayparting. So if you don't know what dayparting is a PPC thing where you basically turn off your ads or pause your ads during times of the day when you don't feel like you're going to convert very well. So for example, you might turn off your ads at 11 p.m. and then turn them back on at 6 a.m. And that would be dayparting. And the reason we do that is just because you're going to be spending money sometimes in a low conversion period. So there's a lot of software that do this, and you're going to find thousands of videos about it. I use Scale Insights, and what I do with Scale Insights is I download the CSV of the time in the day, because Amazon provides all this info of when my listings are converting. Then I upload that CSV into ChatGPT, and I basically, I have a prompt in the LinkedIn thread, but basically I just say, hey, when is the optimal time? What is my optimal day parting schedule? Here's my ASINs, and tell me Monday to Friday when is the absolute best time to turn on and off my ads. And it spit out a whole thing, and then I just uploaded those rules that ChatGPT told me it back into Scale Insights, and it's saved me a ton of money.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too because there's kind of rules of thumb, like you said, a lot of people have talked about kind of time windows on Dayparting. I've talked about it in a couple of videos on this channel as well, but there's absolutely rules of thumb that are pretty consistent across catalogs, but there's definitely nuances. I would say, especially if you sell a medium to higher ticket item. So I would say over $70 for sure. Definitely if you get into the two, three, 400+ dollar range, sometimes the shopping behavior is gonna be different than somebody just picking up, like, a bunch of stuff for the week that's, like, 30 bucks or 40 bucks because there might be a little bit more research involved. So yeah, it's a great tip.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. This one is a lot of text on the screen, so stay with me. But it's just about being ruthless with your packaging size. So we all know that Amazon has gotten more serious about not being a storage facility. Um, Things that are large and light got killed last couple of years. And so this is just a reminder for you to be as ruthless as possible with your packaging size and reducing it as much as possible. There's just so many downstream hidden benefits for having a small product. And I just wrote a few of them here. So the factory buys and charges you for less material. Your smaller product packaging is often simpler. Smaller packaging is simpler. Smaller product packaging is quicker to produce. You can fit more of your units per master carton, which means less master cartons overall. Then your shipment costs from the factory go down. Your smaller packaging fits better in the boxes, which leads to less product damage. You have less master cartons to manage. You pay for less space at your 3PL. It's easier to ship your product from a 3PL. Your 3PL doesn't ship in as many cartons. Your product has less waste if that matters to you. You have less to throw out or recycle. And if you're in retail stores, more of your product can fit on the shelf. So I think that it's almost like impossible to codify how much having a smaller package matters as far as your bottom line. But if you can be like and not lazy about it and really try to get it as small and light as possible, even offering a smaller pack size, it really makes a huge difference down the line. And of course, you know, we want to watch out for that 0.75 inches on the smallest side, if you're trying to get into small standard, and then anything above 18 inches on the big size, because then you're going to go into oversized or large bulky. Okay, so getting into the human body, your body is a temple of doom, and every year it gets worse, unless you're some sort of superhuman. But the one I like to focus on is your eyes, because as you get older, and I'm already wearing glasses, that happened at 30. But your corneas start to yellow. You get myopia, astigmatism, narrowing sort of vision, blurry vision, and things get harder to see, especially small things, things on your phone. And so, depending on your Amazon demographics, like who your buyers are, for example, I sell a bunch of flaxseed, and it ain't young people buying flaxseed, it's old people. And so they need, like from I showed in those previous secondary images, like clear, very easily to understand images that don't have, you know, fancy fonts or contrast that is difficult to read. Um, have high contrast images, have large text, and test, because as people get older, it's a lot harder for them to understand and even, see your images. The other thing to remember is that generally speaking, the graphic designing is not really a profession for older people. Now I'm sure there are some older graphic designers out there, but if you think about your graphic designers, usually it's 20 something kids, right? 20 or 30 something, men and women who have no problem seeing the designs. They've got perfect vision. They're also not designing on a phone, which is where most of your customers are. And more customers are going that way. Like, I think it's like 70-30 or 60-40 now. And so something that looks good to your graphic designer who is young and is designing on a Mac or a PC or a desktop, isn't understanding sort of what it looks like on a phone. So always remember to look at these designs that you make on a phone, and if it's clear and easily to understand, that's good.
Yeah, and I think a key point here, I'm not gonna get into the logic of Cosmo and Rufus. Actually, Danny on and team on the podcast has kind of done a ton of deep dives and content on this. But the so what of it is that it's likely currently and certainly much more in the future that the demographics or customer profile of who typically is going to purchase your product for various use cases is going to significantly impact the organic ranking for similar customers like them that purchase products. So said another way, if you sell flaxseed to people that are mainly over 55 and Amazon's triangulating that, hey, we know the demographic profile of this user for this product and the conversion rate is 16% for that age group. Maybe you do great for another age group, but you don't do well for that one. If another cohort similar to that person is shopping on Amazon, you may have a lower organic rank for that customer cohort than you would other ones. So it's gonna become much bigger of a deal now and into the future, I think, as Amazon gets a lot smarter about customizing which products are shown to which customers for different use cases, demographics, etc. So I think that's a great one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, if I can see a better customer experience with Rufus, like, I'm on board for sure. Oh, okay, and then here's just an example of, the vision changes. So this is kinda what it looks like as you get older, like that sepia look. And here's just an example of a nice main image, with clear it's very clear, it's got good contrast, we're avoiding those serif fonts, easily understood. Okay, on to number 10, we have 4 to go. This one is really neat. So you may have seen this one, but you can create, the 360 view or the 3D view, with any product, on your phone. So this is that flax brand I was mentioning before. Um, Basically, this is just me taking a short video of the flax, and you have to move it around into the little dots on the screen in the top right there, and it creates a 3D render for you. And after about 5 minutes of taking these pictures and walking around it, it was a little tedious. I was done, and this showed up on my listing in I would say 3 to 4 weeks. So really cool way to get a 360 view for your listing in under a month with zero cost, which is kind of cool. Okay, this one is from my friend Brett Burkaw, and I mean, I'm just sharing this one because I've seen more and more talk about people getting hijacked or issues happening with their accounts. Or we had that one with my friend Ivan, who got his whole account taken down for a week just because of a phone issue. This one is really neat. So this is, yeah, like I said, Brett's thing. It's a Chrome add-on, and it does a bunch of stuff. But my favorite thing is that it has a category listing report uploader. So your category listing report is just a flat file that contains all of your listings content. And what this thing does is it will upload your category listing report on the hour, every hour. So you're anytime anyone changes anything, like they say, oh, your product's a pesticide now, or they add some banned keywords into your product listing, this thing will override it almost instantly. So for people with giant catalogs who are getting attacked, like I've got friends who get attacked daily, something like this is like invaluable because it just constantly is overriding your listing and nobody can ever change it.
Yeah, and there's also like a hierarchy of who Amazon, if multiple people are uploading listing content, there's a prioritization or hierarchy on how they, decide, hey, I'm going to accept Adams versus Max's because, I think the big ones obviously for the brand and brand registered, but I believe it was Vanessa Hung that taught me this. But the more history you've got, uploading updates will also put you higher up in the chain. So it's a good thing to do just as a hygiene, but yeah, that's a great one.
Okay, with this one, number 12, the right way to A/B test. So I do a ton of A/B testing, and I'm pretty involved in the A/B testing, uh, whatever you want to call it, environment. But A/B testing is just testing one image versus another. And then you're just seeing which one converts better or which one, has a higher click through rate. So I see a lot of people not sort of following any kind of rhyme or reason as far as A/B testing goes. And so there's sort of two ways to think about it. you can test with refinement or exploration. So on the left, basically what we're doing here is we're taking one image and then we're refining it and making it better and better and better until we get the best image we can. But with exploration, we're trying different versions of that image. So I'm going to show you an example here in a second where we, just to illustrate the point. But once you find that one that really takes off, then you throw it into refinement. So you explore first, try to find the best one, then you move it into refinement. So I'll just show a quick one here um, from this PDF I created. So I'm just going to show you refinement. So version 1A, we have this blanket. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like here. The blanket without any changes on the Amazon product detail page. So here it is. It's just hanging out on the product detail page. Now, when we refine it, we're going to add a drop shadow. That's the first version of refinement. So you can see the drop shadow in there. And then I want to refine it further by making it a bit brighter. I want to change the color and hue. So you can see now it's got the drop shadow and the color and hue. And then I want to add a drop shadow, a color adjustment, and then I want to enlarge it, remove that white space as much as possible. So here we've refined the image. We've made incremental changes, and then we're testing those changes. But maybe that's not even the best way to show a blanket, and we're just refining something that won't matter. So what you could do instead is exploration. And you can move the blanket onto a bed, for example. And that might, then you would refine from there. That might be, a higher converting thing. Okay, and sort of in the same vein, we've got a CTR calculator. This was one of the hacks that was sort of later in the year. But I think that people, my friend Anthony taught me this one, but people really don't understand the impact of click-through rate and how much it matters to your Amazon product listing. And even tiny, tiny increases in click-through rate can be, massive in terms of your top line revenue. So if we've got a product here that sells $30,000 per month with a 2% click-through rate, if we increase the click-through rate by even 1%, that's a 50% increase in traffic. So our product, all other things being the same, will go from making $30,000 a month to $45,000 a month. If we double our click-through rate from 2% to a modest 4%, our product revenue doubles as well to $60,000 a month. So I have a little calculator here that I will share in the slides or wherever down below the video. But you can just put in your ASIN monthly revenue. So if I've got a product that sells $50,000 a month and my current click-through rate is 2%, and then let's say I increase it by 2%, well, then you can see here the revenue doubles on the product, which is it's just sort of staggering to me what a small increase in the click-through rate does to your traffic. And this is why we A/B test, right? We want to get as high of a click-through rate as humanly possible.
Yeah, and I think we've covered the big 3 in different forms in this chat, but it's really fundamentals of Amazon now, which is reviews, price, and main image. And it's like, and they're not static. These are things that you can constantly be iterating on and paying attention to what the competition's doing. But I kind of look at it like panaceas, which is like, in a medical sense, it's like the one thing that cures all. But it's like, if you get CTR and conversion right, everything else about an Amazon business is easier. Your pay-per-click's more profitable, your business is more profitable, fee increases don't matter as much. You order more product, you get price breaks, which reduce COGS, which improves your margin, which lets you lower the price, which lets you get more sales, which you get more reviews. And so this is the stuff that's the flywheel of an Amazon seller for sure.
Yeah, that's
And
why
I've
I'm
never
so
seen a and I've never seen a calculator like that before. So let's like,
yeah, that's why I'm so bullish on A/B testing. It's just because like everybody always talks about optimizing your PPC. Let's optimize our image first.
yeah, agreed.
Okay, last one. This one was kind of glossed over and just like very briefly mentioned. I saw this at Accelerate, but it's the business pricing bid modifier. This one is simply insane. If you have any kind of business customers, hopefully you do. But the reason we like business customers is because they buy more. They have a higher average order value and they return way less. They're just, in general, worth way more than a regular customer. And so Amazon has released business placements. So, a placement allows you to increase your bid by some percentage. So you've seen those 10-cent bids with a 900% bid adjustment. What you can do now is you can target Amazon business customers with a bid adjustment. So if you know on average that your business customers are worth 3 times what a regular customer is, well, then you can increase your bid adjustment by 300% and try to win those, and still break even. You can have like 100% ACoS or 200% ACoS, and still be profitable. And so I don't think, as far as I know, no software has automated this yet. If there is one, please let me know. But this is an awesome way to really go after those business customers and beat everybody else, as far as winning the ad with the bid.
Love it, dude. Well, dude, we took 365 days worth of your blood, sweat, and tears, and we encapsulated it into a little over 30 minutes. So appreciate you squeezing the sponge for us and kind of seeing the best of the year, man. Really appreciate it. And you're a good dude. I like people that kind of just do this stuff for free and help people out. But beyond that, man, people are like, hey, I've never heard of this Max guy. I'm not on LinkedIn, but I find it interesting. How can people connect with you moving forward? And I guess just what's next for you?
For sure. Yeah, we have a Facebook group just called Selling from the Beach, which you can join, as well as the newsletter, sellingfrom.co/news. We put it out every 2 weeks, and I really try to slam as much good stuff into it as I can. Again, my thing is helping as many people as possible. And the newsletter has become a really big way that people have started to, learn what's going on in the Amazon space. And, I come from, inspired by other newsletters and stuff like that, like Kevin King's newsletter. And we've really learned a lot. And I think that, this year and going forward, the newsletter is just going to get better and better. And there's stuff in there that we don't put anywhere else. So, yeah, anyway, I'm rambling, but I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. And hopefully, if people want to learn more, they can check out the newsletter.
Yeah, for sure, man. So we'll definitely drop a link to the newsletter in the show notes and in the description below. And we'll link off the slides and some other things as well. So take a look at that and link off. But dude, enjoy your breather. I know you're gonna keep on cranking out content. We got the newsletter to look forward to a couple times a month, but really appreciate the hard yards you put in here over the last year, man. It means a lot to me and other sellers. And thanks for jumping on and consolidating this, man. It's great. We'll jump on later in the year when maybe you've got the itch to pump out some more stuff after your hiatus.
Yeah, it's already I haven't posted in 2 days, and I feel naked.
That's awesome, dude. All right, buddy. Appreciate you for coming on. And again, thanks for tuning in to Seller Sessions. And if you're watching this on YouTube via the Heist channel, great to have you guys as usual. We will see you next week. Cheers.